I am ShermanDManning, and I have no idea if this is working or not. I am new to this. I have just spent more than a decade of my life wrongly convicted of rape. Wrongly convicted of rape. And now I'm in the city of Los Angeles, California. I am from Atlanta, Georgia. Prior to my wrongful incarceration, I was a licensed and ordained minister of the gospel. Preached all across this country. Atlanta, Georgia is my home. As they will say, I'm Atlanta born, Atlanta bred. When I die, I'll be Atlanta dead. Now I applied for my parole to be transferred to Georgia 6 months ago, and it still has not been transferred. So I was paroled to a city where I have no family, no friends, and where I have to register for a crime that I did not commit. It is foolish. It is asinine. This is a system that lacks compassion. More important than that, it is a system that lacks pragmatism. They've set me up to fail. So they gave me no place to stay, no structure, no assistance, and said, sink or swim. So let's be quite frank about this criminal justice system in America. It is broken. It is outdated. It is racist. It is biased. It is classist. It is wrong. We live in the greatest country on the face of the earth, and yet we still have a system in which the rich get richer, but the poor get prison. There are no billionaires in prison. There are very few millionaires in prison. And once they convict you of something like rape, they figure that they have you for life. Because I was supposed to come out and hide, come out and refuse to talk about the allegation. But I am Brian Banks. I am Reuben Hurricane Carter. I am Nelson Mandela. I am Christopher Bird. I am Ryan Ferguson. I am Ronald Cotton. And the tens of thousands of other people in this country who've been convicted and sent to prison for crimes that did not take place. And so first and foremost, let me deal with the crime. The crime was sending me to prison for a crime that I did not commit. And I intend to work with firm determination to overturn this wrongful conviction, lest I spend the rest of my life registered for a crime that did not take place, for a crime that I did not commit. I have been no saint. I've been a bad boy. Did a lot of wrong things in my life. Fell short of my calling. Fell short of the grace of God. But I did not rape Ricardo. I won't call his last name. I'll respect his privacy. But that was a male prostitute who was dressed as a woman. Now, the first problem is, why should a halfway intelligent, halfway decent looking man, being me, ShermanDManning, be roaming the streets at 2 o'clock in the morning looking for a hooker? That's the mistake that I made. That's the sin that I committed. And quite frankly, that is a crime. It's a misdemeanor. Once Ricardo, last name I won't call, it's in the book. Read the book, The Truth About O.J. Simpson, Race, Class, Money, and Justice. The entire story is there. Once I determined that it was a man and not a woman, female impersonator, I guess they would call it. At that time, I'd never seen a female impersonator in my entire lifetime. I kicked him out of my car. He called the cops and said, there's a man with a gun threatening people. And he hung up. He called back again 3 or 4 minutes later and said, there's a man with a gun and he's threatening people. And I don't have a way to get back. The cops came to pick him up. They came to pick him up. 20 minutes into that visit with him, he changed his story and invented one and said that he was raped. Ricardo Calvario was taken to the hospital, given a rape kit. It was determined that there was no evidence that a rape had taken place. And yet I'm still sitting in, well, oh my God, that's a psychological release that I have to make. I was about to say that I'm still sitting in prison. Well, I was actually released from prison 6 days ago now. But I spent more than a decade of my life in prison for a crime that did not commit. I don't care how you cut it up, how you want to look at it, it didn't happen. Okay, so we raised money, and a person wired the money to a friend of mine, the only friend I had in Los Angeles, I thought, Conrad Gamble, to pay and retain counsel. Famed attorney Barry Tarlow came to see me at the jail, looked at the case, said it was bogus, he could get it thrown out. Famed attorney Thomas Mesereau also looked at the case, said that it would easily be dismissed. Mesereau was not the giant of a lawyer then that he is now, but he was still a very, very, very good lawyer. Both of these lawyers. And to be fair, I spent hours on the telephone with Tom Mesereau talking about the case, and he looked into the case. But Tarlow came to the jail to see me. So did Blair Burke, who is now also a celebrity attorney. Both individuals looked at the allegations in the case and looked at the criminal record of the alleged accuser and determined that the case was bogus. The person to whom the money had been wired for me, for my attorney, stole the money and ran. When I went to trial, I had an all-white jury in Santa Monica Superior Court. The Honorable Judge Robert Altman, who did not really have a lot of honor, if you ask me, and Mary Hanlon was the prosecutor. I had a fool for a client. I did not trust the public defender's office, so rather than let the PD represent me, I represented myself. That representation resulted in an extensive prison system because of a verdict reached by an all-white jury, and I am African American, which that should not matter in today's America, but it still does to some of those who are in power and some of those who harbor these racist beliefs, like Donald, the guy who owns the beauty pageant and wears the toupee, who's running for president. These people are still extremely racist. Donald, whom I refer to as a modern-day Hitler, a modern-day Hitler, and Cruz is not that far behind him. So I went to prison. And the old saying is, he that represents himself in a court of law has a fool for a client. I certainly had a fool for a client and sent myself up the river trying to represent myself in front of a white lynch mob, if you ask me. Now, there will be some who are sensitive to the language. So be it. It's called free speech and artistic expression. I talk about these things in my book, Don't Mess with Texas. I talk about these things extensively in my brand new book, The Truth About O.J. Simpson, Race, Class, Money, and Justice. If you're watching the FX series on O.J. Simpson, you must read The Truth About O.J. Simpson, Race, Class, Money, and Justice, which was just now released recently on Amazon.com. And so, after sitting in prison for all of that time, listening, I want to say watching, but when you're in prison, you're not watching because you're not there, you're listening to the information given to you telephonically about which you can do nothing. Listening to my family members die while I sat there, arrested, accused, convicted for something I did not do. It changed me from the inside out. And I decided, as a result of this transformation, that Oprah was right when she said, sometimes God allows horrible things to happen to you so that you can never let it happen to somebody else. So welcome to Getting Out of Prison 101. You talk about the movie Straight Outta Compton. What about Straight Outta Prison? This is a reality show on YouTube with audio. And I could use video, but I'm doing this by myself, and I'm walking down the streets of LA right now saying to you, this is wrong. How do you lock a man up in a city that's not his in a state that he doesn't know. And then after 15 years, say to this individual, okay, we're going to release you on parole, but we're not going to let you go home where your family is, where you have a home, where you have a job, where you know people. We're going to release you to the streets of a city that you spent 7 days in prior to arrest and say, sink or swim. We'll give you no housing. We'll give you no money. We'll give you no clothing. The idea is they simply want me to go and commit a crime. They set you up to fail. But I will not fail. I still believe that God is the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And I still believe that God can take even injustice and use it to make a difference. Sometimes, as Oprah said, and I repeat, God allows horrible things to happen to you so that you will never let it happen to somebody else. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to get through this process. I'm just trying to make it home. But I do know that I will never quit. I will never give up. I will continue to believe until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. I encourage you and I urge you to read The Truth About O.J. Simpson. Race, class, money, and justice is not just about O.J. It is about the no-J's of the system who go to prison on a routine basis, often for crimes that they did not commit, and often for crimes that they did commit but should have gotten less time for the crime. And once you go to prison and spend more than 3 or 4 years there, you will never be the same again. Prisons make monsters. The prison system in California is a monster factory. Inmates are raped by other inmates every 19 seconds. Every 19 seconds. And inmates are raped by staff members, by correctional guards, at least once a day in the state of California. And that includes male and female inmates. Read the book, The Truth About O.J. Simpson, Race, Class, Money, and Justice, and you will be surprised at the photos of a California prison guard who is a guard right now, who's actively a prison guard, and he raped inmates at New Folsom State Prison. Read the book. ShermanDManning. Visit www.napsusa.org. That's N as in needle, A as in apple, P as in Paul, S as in Sherman, USA.org as in organization. Send my team an email. Let us know what you think. We demand justice, and we want truth that has been pressed to earth to rise again. I was wrongly convicted, and I'm angry about it. And I know some people expect for a Christian, especially a preacher, especially as Reverend ShermanDManning, to say like all of the other guys who were wrongly convicted and got out, say, which is, I'm not angry. But I'm not going to lie about it. I am mad. I'm not bitter. There's a difference in being angry and being mad. The Bible says, be angry and sin not. I'm not poison. I'm not bitter. When you're bitter, it's like drinking poison and expecting for the other person to die, and you're the one drinking the poison. I'm not going to be bred off of that poison and off of that hate and off of that, bitterness. But I am angry, and that anger moves me to do something, to say something, to show something. If you're interested in joining with a group of people and helping to make a difference in this outdated, outmoded, racist, criminal justice system, give me a call. Let's talk about it. This is a criminal justice system which is criminal. They've got the criminal part down pat, but there's no justice. The rich get richer, and the poor get prison. ShermanDManning, thank you for listening in. Hey, call a friend. Call anybody you want to know, and let them know that you heard this show and that it's unlike anything you've ever heard. How many times have you heard a man get on YouTube and tell you that I was wrongly convicted of rape and that I've been out of prison 6 days and that the system gave me nowhere to go and nothing to do and basically said, hey, commit a crime and we'll just lock you up and let the taxpayers pay for it. This is asinine. But God